Hello everyone. So in continuity of the fracture topic which we have recorded last time, so I'm just briefing about the previous topic and then adding to the new lecture. So this is about the fractures. Myself, Dr. Ruchika Pal. I'm working as an assistant professor in Suresh Ganbihar University of Department of Physiotherapy. Now, what are the learning objects of this topic, or you can say what are the learning objects of the classes? So, at the end of the class, the student should know about the types of fractures, the causes of fractures, clinical features, and healing procedures, management of treatment, and operative measures. So we have discussed about the types of fractures, how the causes of fractures, what are the causes of fracture will be there, clinical features will be there, and the healing procedures, management of treatment, operative measures we will discuss it today. So in outline, we have completed introduction of fracture, definition of fracture, incidence of fracture, etiology and risk factors of fractures, pathophysiology of fracture and process of bone healing, clinical manifestation of fracture and classification of fracture we will learn about yesterday, diagnostic evaluation of fracture and management of fractures. Now, we have discussed up to that clinic. Now we are discussing about the clinical manifestation of the fracture. So physical assessment may reveal any of the following clinical manifestations: deformity, and due to fracture, or you can say whenever the patient will come over here for after the fracture, then what we are doing, we are going for the physical assessment. Now, whenever the patient will come to the clinic or come to the hospital or come to the emergency department, the physical assessments include that what is the site of the fracture. Now, what happened after the physical assessment? What is the revelation according to the physical assessment? The physical assessment may reveal any of the following clinical manifestation, such as deformity. If the person got fracture from the hand, or if the first person got fracture in a foot, leg, or in a thigh, now the patient is unable to walk, or the patient is unable to do that work from that fracture site. So if the fracture got from the upper limb, then the shape, because the fracture is called the misalignment of the body. So whenever the misalignment is there in the body, then it leads to the deformity. So due to fracture limb shortening, the deformity can be seen. Rotational deformity will be there if the fracture got in the extent of the rotation, and or angulation may be shown. If the fracture bone got misalignment like this, then you can say the alignment, or you can say the angulation of the at that place. So this is called that type of the deformity which we can see in the physical assessment. Swelling. Yes, this is the second factor which we observe on the physical assessment, that the swelling will be there or edema will be there. So edema may appear as a result of accumulation of serous fluid at fracture site and extravasation of blood into surroundings. So what happened in the swelling? There will be a lot of swelling present, or edema will be present at a result. What happened in our body? It is present as an accumulation of serous fluids. The serous fluid is present in our body, and when you got the fracture site, or you can say when we got any fracture, when we got any trauma happen in our body, the serous fluid will accumulate at one place. And the extravasation of blood into surroundings. There are a lot of blood vessels which are connected to the bone. If the bone get fractured, then the rupture of the blood vessel will be there, and it will goes to the accumulation of the blood over there. So it leads to the blood fracture. It leads to the extravasation of the blood into the surroundings. Now, bruising. Bruising will be there. Why bruising is there? Because the trauma happens. Bruising, ecchymosis will be there. Bruising will be there. So it develops from the subcutaneous bleeding. So that is the bruising and ecchymosis happens whenever it occurs. It develops from the subcutaneous bleeding. So that leads to the you can say after the fracture we can absorb these things. Now, muscle spasm. the muscles are involved, overall the muscles are involved, the spasm will be there. A bone is surrounded by lot of muscles, or the muscles which are acting at that bone, or the muscles which are helping to the movement of the joint. So whenever you get trauma or the fracture will be there or any other condition will be there, then the muscle got torsion, or the surrounding muscles will get torsion because of that, torted because of that surrounding blood accumulation, edema, or components which released, so that leads to the muscle spasm. So involuntary spasm act as a natural sprint to decrease further motion of fracture fragments. So it occurs in a good manner also. You can say कि muscle spasm is that time, muscle spasm is very good for us, so that leads to the involuntary spasm. Now what happened in that, if the involuntary spasm will be there, or you can say the muscle spasm is there, so what is the benefit? It is beneficial in that way that if the muscle spasm will be there, the patient will not move that part easily, and that can leads to the that can leads to the you can say that can leads to the inactivity, and that is good for the fracture site. So now the next factor is the pain. What happened in the pain? What happened in pain? Pain occurs when if you get fracture, if you get any trauma, the bone get fractured, the bone get misaligned, so it leads to the pain. Pain is always a positive sign for the for any tenderness, for any other condition in our body, because if the pain doesn't happen, or if the pain doesn't occur, you will not feel any other thing, any mishappening, or any pathology, or any abnormal physiological changes in our body. So pain is a better or positive sign for the you can say for the trauma, for the fracture. Tenderness, yes, tenderness is there. So what happened in the tenderness? I have already explained in the previous video also. Whenever, if the person is having any trauma or any other infection at this place, and now if you press or if you palpate with pressure, then the patient will feel the pain. When the patient will feel the pain, what happened in that? You will if you will press that point and the patient will feel the point, then we will say that that point is tender, or the tenderness occur in this condition. Now loss of function. So what is loss of function? Loss of function is means there is inactivity of their part. When the bone gets fractured, what will happen? You will get you will get pain over there, you will get tenderness over there, you will get muscle spasm over there, you will get bruising over there. So the function will be lost. It's in you can say motor damage. Now paralysis may be due to nerve damage. Sometimes what happens in that, when a bone gets fractured, it rupture the muscles, it rupture the blood vessels, as well as the nerve entrapment, or you can say nerve damage also. So that can lead to the loss of function from that point of view. That is the attachment of the neural damage, or you can say neural supply of the particular muscle, or the particular bone area, or the particular blood vessels area will get hampered. So this leads to the loss of function. Now, abnormal mobility and capitis. What happened in the abnormal mobility and capitis? It leads to the abnormal mobility and capitis. Now, abnormal mobility due to the motion in the middle of the bone or by fracture fragments rubbing together to create sound. So, in this manner, what happened? Abnormal mobility, the word itself related the mobilization or the mobilization, or you can say the movement of the person. It is in the abnormal way. It is not in the correct pathological way, or it is not in the correct anatomical way. So that leads to the abnormal mobility and capitis. Capitis is the abnormal sounds which is created when the patient when a movement is there, due to motion in the middle of the bone or by fracture fragments rubbing together to create sound. Now what happened in that? Due to motion in the middle of the bone or by fracture fragments, Now, whenever the fracture fragment is there, the fragment is up, over there, and the rubbing together to create sound. So that leads to the that leads to the sound, which is called the crepitus. Now, neurovascular damages. Due to the damage to peripheral nerves or to associated vascular structures, client may complain of numbness and tingling to have no palpable pulse distal to fracture. So what happened in the neurovascular damage? Due to the damage to peripheral nerves, whenever the peripheral nerves got damaged to associated vascular structures, now the nerves are also involved and the vessel supply is also involved. Client may complain of numbness and tingling. Okay, so what happened? Patient will complain of numbness, as such peripheral nerves are involved. The numbness will be there, tingling sensation will be there, or no palpable pulse or distal to fracture. Now, this is related to the neurovascular changes. Shock. Bony fragments may lacerated blood vessels. Frank or occult hemorrhage can lead to shock. So, in shock, bony fragments may lacerated. Now, I have already told whenever the fracture will be there, the bony fragments will be there. So, what happens in that? The patient will have the laceration of the wounds. So laceration will be there. You can say the blood vessels will be torn out by the bony fragments of the fracture site. So that leads to frank or occult hemorrhage, can lead to shock. If the blood vessels get damaged, then it can lead to the shock also. Now the next is a slide about classification of fractures. Yes, it is the most important topic, or you can say it is the basic topic which we can diagnose about that. What are the classification of fracture? What are the types of the fractures? Or you can say how we can tell that the patient is affected, or you can say patient is suffering from that type of the fracture, or the fracture happens, we can easily go for that the fracture. So it already dependent upon the classification basis on etiology or the relationship of the fracture with the external environment or the displacement of the fracture and the pattern of the fracture. So that is the condition in which the fracture happens. So we can go for the etiology. We can go for the etiology, just like that. What is the cause of the fracture? How the fracture happens? So that is the relationship of the fracture with the external environment, or why the fracture got displaced. If the fracture got displaced, sometimes the patient affected from that trauma, that the trauma, due to the trauma, the fracture doesn't happen to that extent, but you can say how the fracture got displaced because of the movement of the patient, or the movement of the patient by any other person. So that can lead to the different pattern of the fracture. So this is a normal bone. We can say this is a tibia. Upper part is the tibial plateau. Tibial tuberosity is in between them. Proximal third. If we go further, the tibia divided into three parts. That is the proximal third, middle third, distal third, and the tibial shaft is there. Lateral malleolus is there. So this is about the classification of fracture in starting of the fractures. Now the simple classification method is based on whether the fracture is closed or open to environment. So now I will explain about that. So traumatic, first of all, one thing is there also that we can go for the basis of etiology. We got three parts also: traumatic fracture, pathological fractures, and stress fracture. This is also included in the classification of the fractures. Traumatic fracture is due to trauma, that is fracture caused by a fall, road traffic accident, fight, or any other means that leads to the trauma. So fracture sustained due to trauma is called a traumatic fracture. Now pathological fracture, a fracture through a bone which has been made weak by some underlying disease, is called a pathological fracture. So that can also lead by any other bone, the fracture through a bone weakened by metastasis, or the traumatic fractures have a predictable and general successful outcome, pathological fractures. Now stress fracture. Yes, this is also important type of the fracture, because as the patient sometimes didn't suffer from any trauma or any pathology, but due to its stress fracture, due to stress over a sustained area, that can lead to a stress fracture. This is the type of fracture sustained due to chronic repetitive injury, stress causing a bone in a bony trabeculae. This often present as only pain and may not be visible on X-rays. Now, on the basis of displacement also, we have discussed that we have the basis of the displacement. There are undisplaced fracture and displaced fracture. Now, the undisplaced fracture, these fractures are easy to identify by the absence of significant displacement. Displaced fracture, a fracture may be displaced. The fracture responsible for displacement are the fracture force or the muscle pull of the force. Means undisplaced fracture, the fracture is in the same alignment, but absence or significant of displacement. There is no more displacement over in that the fracture bone. But in displaced fracture, fracture may be displaced. Fracture or factors which are responsible for displacement are fracturing force. The force which leads to the trauma which leads to the fracture can displace the bone in this manner, in this manner, in this up manner, and the muscle pull on the fracture fragments. If the bone is aligned in this manner, also in this manner, but what happened, the muscle pull is more than the fractured force, so muscle will pull out that the fragment, and that can lead to the displacement fracture. Gravity also leads to the displaced fracture. Now we are talking about that on the basis of relationship with the external environment. That is about the first first is closed fracture. Now has intact skin over the site of injury. If we talk about the closed fracture, let me explain about the closed fracture. Closed fracture, now closed means it is enclosed, it is inside, it is not exposing to the outer environment. Now fracture not communicating with the external environment, that is the overlying skin and other soft tissues are intact, is called a closed fracture. What happened in this fracture? You got sudden fall. You didn't get any other laceration of your skin. You didn't get that much bruises. You just got a fall from a bed, or a small kid is fall down from a bed. Then what happened? That can lead to the fracture, but the patient didn't get any soft tissue injury or any other skin which is got lacerated, or we can see that the bony got fractured. So these things are intact, but fracture is present over there. So that is the closed fracture. So if we talk about like this, so the third diagram shows that the closed fracture, the skin is involved, the skin is intact, or the tibia is got fractured, but the tibia is in alignment. There is a fracture only. Now the skin is intact, soft tissues are intact, blood vessels, little bit blood vessels are ruptured, as it leads to the swelling also. Now these two factors which we can see that this is the external attached to the or to open to the external environment, and that can lead to the open fracture. So now what is the open fracture? Now open fracture is by a break in a skin, or a break in overlying the skin and soft tissue, leading to the fracture communicating with the external environment, and now it is called an open fracture. Now open fracture may be open from within or outside, so it is called internally or externally open fracture respectively. Just as such, we can see in the diagram, the fracture got insidely, the fracture got in the tibia got fractured inside, and then it got over it is getting displaced and it is coming outside. So it is that from within to without, means with the fracture is within the body, but it is oozing out, so it is communicating with the external environment. So this can lead to the trauma, but here it is From without to within means if the some object is getting inserted, or the some object is hurting you, or we can say that the knife is pierced you to get, and now you got the fracture. The knife is pierced to through your skin, through your soft tissues, through your fatty tissues, through your blood vessels, and enter to the bone or strike to the bone, and that can lead to the fracture. So this is the from without to within, and that leads to the fracture of the open fracture, which is communicating with the external environment. So in open fracture, it is characterized by a break in skin over the bone injury. Tissue damage can be extensive with open fractures, which are graded according to their severity. Now there are the tissue damage with open fractures which are graded. Means there are grading system in which the open fracture is related. So we can go for that graded to that to know about the severity of the fracture. So this is the grade first. The wound is smaller than 1 centimeter. It is the first graded. It is the first grade of the injury. The wound is smaller than 1 centimeter, or the contamination is the minimal. Means if you got a fracture from outside environment or from inside environment, which is communicating with the external environment by that opening or by that area which is exposable or which is visible of the wound is visible. The wound area is up to only the smaller than the 1 centimeter. Grade 2, larger than 1 centimeter. Contamination is moderate. There is a moderate contamination will be there. Grade 3, wound exceeds up to the 6 to 8 centimeter. There is extensive damage to soft tissues, nerves, tendons, and there is high degree of contamination. So that can lead to the grading of the open fracture. Now fractures we can also described as a fracture stable and unstable, or you can say complexity of the treatment. We can say of on the basis of complexity of the treatment, this is like a simple fracture or the complex fracture. A fracture in two pieces, usually easy to treat, is called simple fractures, or a transverse fracture of the humerus. And a complex fracture, a fracture in the multiple pieces, usually difficult to treat, is called a complex fracture. Example, comminuted fracture of the tibia. Now, if I will explain about the stable and unstable fractures, then stable fractures, when a piece of periosteum is intact across the fracture, and either external or internal fixation has rendered the fragment stationary. So, unstable, the word itself suggests that the fracture is stable. So, whenever the piece of periosteum is intact across the fracture, and either external or internal fixation has rendered the fragment stationary. That means the fracture fragments are in the stationary position, and that leads to the stable fracture. Or we can go for example like transverse fractures, spiral fractures, or the green stick fractures, which is the stable fracture. Then next is unstable fracture. Now it is grossly displaced during injury and is a site of a poor fixation. Example, comminuted or oblique. So that is the leading of the unstable fracture. Unstable means the fracture fragments are the unstable, grossly displaced during injury, and is site of a poor fixation. Means these type of the fractures we cannot easily fixate that, or we cannot have that. We have to treat the patient for a long time, as a comminuted fracture. Comminuted fracture is there, or oblique fracture. Comminuted means there is a fracture in which the lot of the fragments will be there, or you can say we will go for the long time of the treatment. So now we will concluded about the fractures have many descriptions. In fact, more than 150 type of fractures are labeled according to various classification methods. So the classification of fractures are as follows. We can conclude that the classification is on the different manners. So first of all, we can classify it into the different manners. So that is the first is the on the basis of appearance. So it is called a burst. Now it is characterized by multiple pieces of bone, often occurs at bone ends or in vertebra. So that can leads to the multiple pieces of bone which occurs at the bone ends or in the vertebra, that as you can see in the you can see in the diagram. Now comminuted fractures. More than one fracture line, more than two bony fragments may be splintered or crushed. So you can see over here that the bone gets splintered, or you can say bone gets crushed. That leads to the comminuted fractures. Where are the lot of fracture fragments. These fracture fragments are also got dispersed over here and here and leads to the edema also. So this is about the comminuted fracture. And the third one is the complete fracture, that leads to the break across entire section of the bone, dividing into two distinct fragments often displaced. So that is according to the complete fracture, means the entire section of the bone get fractured and it divided into two fragments, and it often occurs as a displaced fracture. And that is the you can say the toughest part of the treatment, that we have to the surgeon have to remove the one part, or you can say the surgeon have to treat that complete fracture into a different manner of the management. Displaced fracture, fractures out of normal position at fracture site. Displaced, the word itself means that the displaced, when the bone get fractures, or it divides into the fragments, and it got the displaced. It is misaligned into the position. Now normal position, the fragments will be out of the normal position at the fracture site. Incomplete fracture. Yes, it is called the usually non-displaced fracture. Fractures generally occurs only one cortex of the bone. It is usually non-displaced. Now that can leads to the fracture, and but only the one part of the, as you can see in the diagram, only the one part of the bone got fractured. It does not crossing overall the line, and it is usually the non-displaced fracture. Linear fracture. Now you can see in the diagram, there is a linear line occurs in between the bone. This is the fracture line is intake. Fracture is caused by minor to moderate force applied directly to bone. So this leads to the linear fracture. Longitudinal fracture. Fracture line extends in direction of bone's longitudinal axis. That can lead to the longitudinal fracture. Now fracture line extends in direction of bone's longitudinal. If the longitudinal axis is down towards the downwards, that is the fracture which occurs at the direction of the bone's longitudinal axis. Non-displaced fracture. It happens when the fragments aligned at fractured site. This is the non-displaced fracture. The fracture didn't got displaced. The bony fragments didn't got displaced, and it aligned at the fracture site. Oblique fracture. Yes. Oblique fracture, that is the displaced fracture, you can say, or it is a type of the fracture which leads to the which is the open fracture and got to the connected to the external environment. So fracture line occurs at approximately 45-degree angle across longitudinal axis of bone. That leads to the fracture line, that leads to the oblique fracture. Spiral fracture. Fracture line results from a twisting force, forms a spiral encircling bone, that can lead to the spiral fracture also. So this occurs when the force is in the twisting direction. So this leads to the spiral encircling bone to the bone, and that causes the spiral fracture. Stellate fracture. Fracture line radiate from the central point. This fracture always occurs in the in the maximum bony parts, or you can say the bone is in the hardest shape over there, and the fracture fragment will be at the center point, but it got spreaded like a star. Transverse fracture. Fracture lines occurred at a 90-degree angle to the longitudinal axis of a bone. So this is called the transverse fracture. So it is just similar to the linear fracture, but it is in the shape of the transverse fracture. Compression fracture. These fractures occurs at that place where the compression is more comparatively to the other surfaces, comparatively to the other bones. So bone buckles and eventually cracks as a result of unusual loading force applied to its longitudinal axis. Green stick fracture. It usually occurs in the children below of the 10 years old age or below 5 years age. You can say the bone is very thin, so that is called the green stick fracture. Incomplete fracture, in which one side of cortex is bone and other side is flexed but intact, but the fracture got intact, and the kid or the child will get a fracture in which one side of cortex is broken. Only the one side of the cortex is broken and another side is in the flex position. Impacted fracture. Impacted fracture. Telescope fracture. You can say it is telescope fracture with one fragment driven into another. Means if the one part of the fracture, one part of the bone get fractured and it is driven to the another by the force that can leads to the upper part of the bone got also get the fractured. On the basis of anatomic location, Colles fracture. This is the very commonest, or you can say you can easily get this fracture site, or you can easily observe that fracture in the most of the hospitals or any other clinics. Within the last inch of the distal radius, distal fragment is displaced in a position of a dorsal and medial deviation. We can say the fracture will be in that dorsal and medial direction. The patient will fall from height, or you can say the patient, when the patient get fall, that he will support his falling by, he will support his body by only one hand, and that hand get the overall stress force from the body or overall stress of the body on that fracture site, that can lead to the fracture of the distal segment or distal fragment of the radius in a displaced position, dorsal and medial deviation. Potts fracture. Now the fracture of distal tibia, seriously disrupting tibiofibular articulation. A piece of medial malleolus may be chipped off as a result of ruptured internal lateral ligament. So in this diagram, so you can see in the diagram what happened in that. The Colles fracture is of the distal radius. Now this is the fracture of the distal fibula. What happens in that? Disrupting tibiofibular articulation will be there, and a piece of medial malleolus. The medial malleolus, which we can see in the medial side of our foot, the bony prominence which is in the medial side of our foot, get be chipped off as a result of the internal lateral ligament. So this is the Potts fracture. So these are the type of the fracture which we have discussed today. Now few multiple choice questions regarding the fractures. So this is I can ask about that. We have the 4 options for the multiple choice question. Now in which of the following injuries to the bone is actually not broken? The options are simple fracture, hairline fracture, contusion, or multiple. And that is about the, you can see that the here it is we are asking about that the bone is actually not broken. In simple fracture, the bone is getting broken. Hairline fracture, yes, there is a hairline fracture over there. Contusion. In contusion, when a bone is formed, it is spongy, called cancellous. So the cancellous get ossified to form cortical, which is hard bone, and so that is the answer is the contusion. And in multiple fracture, there is a lot of the fracture are present. Now in fracture, especially in long bones, second question, the body starts giving weight medially, axially, centrally, normally. So what happened in that, especially in long bones, the body starts giving weight. Where the body starts giving weight in fracture conditions, medially, axially, centrally, or normally. Normally will not be there because as the fracture condition is not in the normal way. Centrally is not over be there because the fracture is in your arms or in legs or whatever the bony prominence is there. Axially is not present, or medially is the answer, because when our parts get fractured, we try to avoid disturbing the injured area. Thus, we lean towards the side. So weight bearing happens medially. That is in the side. Now, which of the fractures necessitates the use of a bone cement or other implants? So multiple fractures or compound fracture, simple fracture or hairline fracture. Simple fracture we can be managed by the splint, or we can manage by the plaster cast. Hairline fracture, so the fracture necessities of the bone cement is required in the compound fracture. So these are about the multiple choice questions of the fracture. We will get to discuss more about multiple choice of the fractures in this in the next video. As such, we have completed the fracture. We will complete the fracture from the video. So I hope if you have any queries regarding the fractures, or if you have any queries regarding the classification of fractures or the diagnostic will be in the next video lecture, or about the types of the fracture we will discuss in later on the videos. About the Colles fracture and the Port's fracture we will discuss later on, and then in the next video I will discuss about the diagnostic evaluation that can lead to the other relations, which is other evaluating results which can go for the other different patterns. So thank you so much. This is Dr. Ruchika Pal, Assistant Professor in Suresh Ganvihar University. We will discuss the topics later on. So we have discussed about the Port's fracture and about the next topic of your next video, that is the diagnostic features. So now if we have to conclude, or we have to check that what we have studied in our group or what we have studied in the fracture classes, so that is the best method to use these things is that the multiple choice questions. We have to go through the multiple choice questions so that we can know about that how much we get for this information from our studied chapter or not. So if this is the first question, that is the inner bone, if concavity, elongation, or it is comparatively to convexity, what is the compression, depression, suppression, and extension is there. So what happened if I'm taking a ratio of the concavity to the elongation and the convexity to the ratio of which? So this is the convexity is the ratio of the compression. Yes, the compressive force of the bone. It is in the ratio of the convexity of the bone. So this is this is the first multiple choice question. And in which of the following injuries? The second one is that in which of the following injuries to the bone is actually not broken. Okay, and the options are simple fracture, hairline fracture, contusion, or multiple. So in which of the following injuries, if we are talking about that injuries of the bone, so in which condition or which injury the bone is actually not broken? So this is the first is the simple fracture, and second is the hairline fracture, contusion, and the multiple fracture, or the multiple injuries. So here we are concluding to that topic is the answer is the contusion. Yes, in contusion there is no bone is broken, but in the fracture, hairline fracture, and simple fracture, and multiple injuries, bone can be broken. Okay. The third question is in fracture, especially in long bones, the body starts giving weight. So it is in the blank question, or we can say that now we have to check that which part or which option is the suitable best for this blank. So in fracture, especially in long bones, the body starts giving weight medially, axially, centrally, or normally. So the correct answer is the medially. Okay, because whenever you are getting a fracture, you will shift your weight to the opposite direction, not to that direction in which the where the injury happens. If I am having injury in my forearm bone, I will lift my hand up to like this position, or I will hold my hand up to this position, and I will shift my weight like this. So this can be the you can say explanatory of this answer, so that the person will shift the weight to the medially or of the injury side. Now, next question is this: which of the fracture necessitates the use of the bone cement or some other implant? Yes, whenever we are going for the management of the bone fracture, or whenever we are going for the other things, so what happened in that, we will in concluding that which devices or which management technique is useful for the healing of the bone, or which device or which component we will use for the healing of bone or in the surgical procedures. So if we are talking about the bone cement or other implant, so what is the fracture necessity? So you can say in which conditions we will go for that the fracture necessity. So our options are the multiple fractures, compound fracture, simple fractures, hairline fractures. So the answer is about here is the compound fracture. Yes. Multiple fractures can also be have that system. Multiple fractures can also be go for that. But what happened in that multiple fracture? Sometimes in multiple fractures, you will get only hairline fracture. One fracture is your simple fracture, but the other fracture is your hairline fracture. It also be concluded in your multiple fracture. But in compound fracture, you will get the bony fragments over there. So that's why it is resulted into the compound fracture, or that's why it is resulted into that we have to apply the bone cement or any some other implant for the bone stability or the fracture rehabilitation cases. So the correct answer is the compound fracture. Now the severity of a ligament injury progresses. Next question is this: the severity of the ligament injury progresses from strain to tear. Okay, now this is also one blank question, and we have to go through that. How the severity of injury progresses from, first option is that the strain to tear, sprain to tear, strain to sprain, sprain to strain. Okay, now strain and sprain are included to the tear in the muscle and tear in the ligament. So strain is the tear in the ligament, sprain is the tear in the muscle. So this is all about that the severity of ligament injury. Now we have to talk about the ligament injury. So what is the option which is best suitable to there? So sprain to tear. This is the sprain is the ligament tear and to ligament injury, and this is up to the tear. So the correct answer is the sprain to tear. Now, brittle fracture is more dangerous than ductile fracture because first is no warning sign, crack propagates at very high speeds, no need for extra stress during crack propagation, and fourth one is all of the above, or you can say all the options. So yes, brittle fracture. Brittle word always means that the compound which is present over here, or the bone is in a very soft condition, or the bony condition is not that much tougher condition which it should be. So brittle fracture is more dangerous than the ductile fracture because all the factors are responsible over here, because there is no warning sign when the bone get fractured. There is no crack propagation. Crack propagation can occur at very high speeds because bone is not that much strong. No need for extra stress during crack propagation, and all. This is the multiple choice questions which you have to follow for the topic related details. Any other queries you can also ask in the comment box of this YouTube channel. And this leads to the conclusion. Now, if I'm concluding about the topics which I have studied, which I have taught to you in this fracture topic. So a fracture is any disruption in the normal continuity of a bone. When fracture occurs, surrounding soft tissues are often damaged as well. So yes, we have studied about that. There is if the fracture is generally is that thing, it is any disruption or it is any distortion or any disturbance in the normal continuity of a bone or alignment of a bone. When fracture occurs, surrounding soft tissues are often damaged as well also. Now, second is it is a problem which needs immediate collaborative care and management. If the management is being delayed, then the complications can be lead to another things. Yes, it is a problem, or we can say that in this problem, in the if you having any fracture, we have to go for the immediate collaborative care and management, as the surrounding soft tissues are also damaged. Or if the management is being delayed, then the complications can be in the different form, or you can say complications can also be related to other pathological conditions if the fracture is in the more different formation. So, if we talk about the any other fractures, or if we talk about any specific fractures, then hip fracture is the most common cause of the, you can say, acute orthopedic admissions in all older people. Hip fracture is most commonly disabling injury. We can say that, and case of accidental death in older people. The incidence in the public health and the economic population has aged, and this is as expected to continue for the foreseeable future. Treatment is generally surgical to replace or repair the broken bone. Mortality rate is up to the 5 to 10% after 1 month, and about 30% after 1 year because of the fracture. Yes, fracture is because our fracture always usually occurs in the road traffic accident cases, and this is the commonest, you can say, commonest things which we have to, which we can see in this world. Now, multidisciplinary rehabilitation is needed for the patient to return home. Yes, we can conclude that the physiotherapy and the occupational therapy and other rehabilitation process is required for the patient, or is needed for the patient to return home to perform his ADLs at any age. We can consider it as, or but we have to consider it also that if the patient is suffering from other condition also, or in the other in other pathological physiopathological condition also, so there the multidisciplinary rehabilitation is also required. Now, way to reduce the risk of further fracture should be considered. We can conclude that we have to consider factors, or we have to reduce the risk of factors where the fracture can occur. If the patient is of the osteoporotic, or if the patient is of any other conditions, we have we or you can say therapist or the family members can also prevent the fall of the patients, or prevent the conclusions that can leads to the fracture. So somehow there are few factors which we can go for the conclusion of these fractures things. And again, I'm just suggesting you that if you are having any queries, any doubt, or any other things which you want to ask about the fractures and about that topic related to which we have studied in this video, you can go through the YouTube channel of Gyan Vihar University, and then again you can just message in the comment box for further inquiries of the this topic, and we will try our best to resolve your problems. You can refer the book Maheshwari for the J Maheshwari for the fracture cases, or other books also, Chinese physiotherapy for the rehabilitation also. So these are the some other conditions, or these are the some books which we can use, you can follow for the fracture, for the fracture conditions, or for the fracture treatment or management. So this is all about the fracture. But next my video, I will talk about the diagnostic evaluation, surgical management of the physiotherapy, medical management, surgical management of the fracture cases, medical management of the fracture cases, rehabilitation of the splints and braces, about the how the splints and braces are applied to the fracture, or how the emergency treatment will be there in the fracture condition. So in this video, we have concluded about the fracture types of the fractures, or what are the clinical features of the fractures, or other or other classification of the fractures, how the fracture is divided, or which part of the which topic related to the other type of the fracture, which if it is occur in a patient, or if you can see in any file, or in any cases of the orthopedic fracture cases. So this is all about. So thank you so much. And myself, Dr. Ruchita Pal, working as an assistant professor in Suresh Gan Vihar University. Just follow the video, or like the video, share the video, and please subscribe the channel of the Suresh Gan Vihar YouTube video of the physiotherapy department. Thank you so much.